Welcome back to the OSM channel. Exciting day for me here. About a month and a half ago, I placed an order for a tire changing machine and balancer combo kit. Just got a call from the shipper. Crates are ready to be picked up, so let's go pick them up. Hold these crates safely in the garage a few days later. First and foremost, I want to talk about what I bought. I'm going to talk about the logistics of receiving both these units, and then later on in the video we'll talk about the financials and why I think financially this was a smart purchase. So what did I buy? I bought a tire balancing machine and a tire changing machine. Both of these units are made by Contact. This is a KT-B760, and the other crate over there, the changer, is a KT-T800-L. Now, when it comes to buying Contact tire machines and other similar tire changing machines, oftentimes you have two options in terms of the buying process. You could buy them directly through Amazon, or you could buy them directly through the manufacturer. I decided to reach out directly to the manufacturer and I said, hey, look, I'd like to buy these two units. If I buy them directly from you, you're not paying the Amazon fees. Additionally, I would like to pick these crates up myself, so therefore you're not paying the final shipment fees. Could you offer me a discount? They agreed. They offered me a really nice discount, saved about 20%. Talk about final numbers again later on in this video, but that's basically how it all went down. Now, these units were manufactured in China, and it took maybe a month and a half for me to finally be able to pick these units up. They did have to be shipped over from China. Now, I decided to pick out a pretty specific balancing machine, which they didn't stock at that specific warehouse, so that's why I think things took a little bit longer than what they should have, but I'm happy. The nice thing about picking up big crates and packages like this directly from the manufacturer or their holding warehouse is you're not dealing with the final mile shipper. And I've just had terrible luck with the final mile shipping companies. You know, they don't really care. Things get damaged, and then they don't want you to notify on the paperwork that there's damage to the boxes, and it's just a whole nightmare. So whenever you can deal directly with the company and pick things up yourself, I find that to be the much better route to go. Now, as for the loading process, I was at the warehouse for maybe an hour and a half. You know, those warehouses, it kind of goes like the guy who arrives first gets loaded first, so I was waiting a while, but when they did load me up, I was very happy. Really professional guys. Slid one pallet into my junk trailer and then took the other one and pushed the other one back. No damage. And these crates appear to be in very good condition. As for unloading these crates, I don't have a forklift or a tractor on the property, so thankfully my neighbor has a tool cat, Bobcat tool cat with a set of forks. Pretty cool machine. He gave me a hand, picked up these crates out of the dump trailer and put them in the garage floor. Now, the final challenge I am facing right now is I have to unbox these units, get them up off the pallets, and put them into their final position, which is about 15 feet away. Ideally, I'd love to put that tire changing machine on casters. I think that is the heavier unit. If I'm not mistaken, I think that unit's around 500 or 600 pounds. As for the balancer, I know it's significantly lighter, so let's start unboxing things and see what we can come up with here. Now, the wheel balancer did not include any assembly instructions, so it looks like we're just going to have to use some common sense here. So this is the top control panel slash wheel weight holding doohickey. So, I mean, pretty clearly this goes right on top, but you also want to ensure that the electrical connection, this umbilical cord, does not get wound up or near that motor right there. So as I install this, I'm just ensuring that this electrical cord is put off to the side in an area that it will not interfere with the motor or that pulley. So included with the wheel balancer, you get a few different cones. There's this shaft, which I'm not 100% sure what this is for yet. We may have to install that. Here is the holding clamp. You also get a little bag of hardware. There were a few more fasteners. I already installed them on the machine. Allen wrench, wheel weight tool. Additionally, I believe this is for calibrating the machine. Now, if we go back over to the machine, you can see that I've installed 4 Phillips head screws. No issues so far. The next thing we need to do is install the monitor on the back side of the machine. In order to do that, it looks like we're going to have to unbolt this bracket, flip it around, and then rebolt it back into the machine. So before we bolt this bracket back onto the back side of the machine, we have to do something with this electrical umbilical cord going up to the monitor. Now, if you take a look at this bracket, there's a slot for that umbilical cord to go through this bracket. There's no place to disconnect that electrical cord from the monitor. So what we have to do, we have to unfasten 6 number 2 Phillips head screws, put that umbilical cord wire through the center of this bracket, and then reassemble everything. Alright, so how does the monitor get installed onto this bracket? If you take a look at the monitor, there's a little slot in the plastic. Little slot right there. Now the metal bracket is received into that slot in the plastic, like so. And then there are 2 screws, number 2 Phillips head screws that go right there. It's a little tricky to kind of keep the monitor in place, because if you let it go, it's just going to fall backwards like that. Alright, it's the following day and now it's time to start working on moving this tire changing machine. I didn't want to touch this machine until I received some casters. Went on Amazon, ordered a couple casters. They sit about 4 inches off the ground, the casters, and currently the machine's about 6 inches off the ground, so I'm thinking it's going to be a pretty smooth transition. We'll just slide one corner off at a time, install the caster, and then this really should go pretty smooth here. Aside from that, you'll notice that the swing arm is attached to the side of this changer with just some plastic. So I think the first thing we're going to do is unfasten this plastic, take this swing arm, and just move it off to the side so we have more room to work with here. There is just one single 10mm fastener holding this whole unit down to this pallet. Glad I picked this up directly from the warehouse. All right, let's try and slide an edge off the pallet. Deadlift probably about 100 pounds on one side, the table side. By no means light, but now that's sticking out to the point where I can at least put a caster on that one corner. Casters I ordered have a 1/2 inch diameter stem, and the hole is just a little bit too small, so no big deal. We'll have to widen up this hole a little bit here. So there is a little rubber cushion on the bottom of this foot. In order for the casters that I purchased to work properly, we're going to have to remove this piece of rubber. Nice. Now I'd like to slide this unit over to the point where I can get that floor jack underneath this member right here, and then we can jack up the front of this and move this machine a little bit easier. Trying to work smarter here. Okay, pick that side up a little bit. Let's lower down the jack here and see what happens. Alright, that one caster is making contact with the ground. That's good. Let's get a little bit. Gotta get a back corner off the skid now. All right, let's see if we can work this corner off a little bit more. Oh yeah, that's no problem. So the back is definitely lighter than the front. All right, now the final move, the tricky move. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to scoot this corner to where it's just on the edge of this pallet. And then I'd like to take this pallet and slide it over to this line so that it's flush with the face of the other pallet right there. Get the jack underneath this cross member and support the weight on the back of the machine. That's the plan. Try not to put my feet under this machine in case it wants to go. So far so good. Keep that corner right on there. Put the front of the machine over a little bit. Oh, those casters are so nice. That jack should go right under there now. This machine should now be free of the pallet, so we can move the pallet out of the way. A couple of wooden wedges under the tires. We'll set the brakes. Now we should be able to lower the jack down, roll the jack out, and then release the brake on the casters and be on our way. Oh yeah. Beauty. Glad we got that big job out of the way. So the next thing we're going to do is install the air regulator. So we're just going to remove these screws, and hidden in this cavity is the regulator. Now on the left here it looks like we have an oiler, which I would imagine this provides lubricity to all the pneumatic cylinders on the machine. There's actually a plus and minus adjustment valve right here, so we'll just have to keep an eye on the oil level in here, and we have an adjustment if we need. And here would be the regulator slash filter slash water separator. So this will set the pressure going into the machine and also filter out any water or small contaminants. So let's get this fastened onto the machine. Alright, next I'm going to remove the bolts for the swing arm assembly, and I got to figure out how I'm going to lift it up here. Now this post, I'd say this post weighs 90 to 100 pounds. A strong guy probably could lift this right up, throw it on the machine. If I had a second guy here, probably be no problem, but I'm not trying to be a hero and I'm not trying to hurt myself. Already had labrum repair surgery once in my left shoulder. Not trying to make that happen again. So anyway, I have it rigged up to my homemade crane. Let's lift this up slowly and see what happens. So far so good. Next, let's install the inflation gauge. So again, 2 Allen head fasteners pre-installed, so we'll just remove these, throw the gauge up here. I got a ratchet strap around it. See how this goes. Feel it's a lot of weight. Manageable. An appliance dolly would be ideal. And I will have to bolt this unit down to the floor, but I'm not really worried about that right now. Just want to get it in position. Make sure everything's going to fit as it should. One of the final things we have to do here is to install this threaded shaft extension onto this balancer, which is a nice tight fit. I'm going to go counterclockwise then clockwise. This Allen wrench was included. All right. Now quickly, let's talk about how much I paid for these machines and why I think that makes sense. So I paid $2,000 pretty much out the door for these two machines. Of course, I did have to pick these machines up myself, and I bought them directly through the company's website. But that ended up saving me about 1/5 of the cost. Now, if you were to buy these two machines on Amazon right now, you're looking at close to, I think, $2,400. So you can save a lot of money if you reach out to the company directly and they're willing to work with you. Now, do I think these machines are going to pay for themselves? Absolutely. It's just a matter of time. Now, I was pricing out what it would cost to replace the tires on my truck to get them done professionally, changed and balanced. I was looking at like over $1,800 plus tire disposal fees and all tax and gratuity if you choose to add a tip there. Now, if I were to buy those tires myself from Amazon, it's like under $1,600. So just doing the tires on my truck, I feel like that alone will save me $200. So based on that logic, after 10 tire changes, these machines should quite literally pay for themselves. Now, some of you out there are probably saying, yeah, well, with car tires, you're looking at more like $100 in labor. So let's go with that logic. Even with car tires, after 20 tire changes, these machines would pay for themselves. Now, with the people that I'm going to be changing tires for, it's probably going to take maybe 15 tire changes to pay for these units. But aside from that, it's just empowering to be able to take on this work on my own, because in the past, I've always had to go to a mechanic to get my tires changed. And not to knock all mechanics, but there's a lot of crummy mechanics out there, a lot of shady mechanics, a lot of mechanics that upsell and guilt trip you and tell you, oh, while I was under there, your brake pads look a little worn. You want to save car right? Like, they play with your heartstrings and they guilt trip you into buying something you don't need. In fact, that's one of the reasons why I created this YouTube channel, to show people how to do some of these jobs, how to do it the proper way, how to take on this work on their own, so that way they can do the work properly and ensure that they have a safe and functional car. So, getting off on a bit of a tangent here, but anyway, again, it's just so nice to have the power to change my own tires at will. Now, in the future, I will do a full review video on the operation and use of the balancer as well as the tire changing machine, but I need to read up on the instruction manual and make sure that I'm well educated in the operation of both of these machines before I share that information with you. Additionally, I would like to thank everybody for helping me to hit that 25,000 subscriber mark. Really appreciate it, guys. Let's keep the ball rolling.